What's up, guys, and welcome back to Prepare to Read. My name is Marcos, and I'm here with my good friend Jacob. Thank you to all of the new subscribers. We're currently up to 99, so don't forget to like and subscribe if you are following along.
Happy New Year, Marcos. How was your holidays?
It was good. Yeah, a lot of time with family went visited the hometown, so that was good.
Yeah, and then we saw each other in person for the first time. And well, I guess no, we did a whole little hiking trip last year, but it's been a while. It had been a minute.
Yeah, we don't see each other very much.
Mm-mm.
We record these remotely, but hopefully one day we should try recording together.
That I know that would go awful. I know we wouldn't be able to. It'd be the worst thing ever.
It,
I
it
could
would
just
probably be more entertaining,
probably.
but
It probably would. But no, I mean, same thing. Went back home, hung out with family, had a good Christmas slash New Year's. Stranger Things broke my heart. Sadly, I just didn't love the last season. If you watched it, please let us know whether it's on the YouTube or the Discord. Let's hear your thoughts and maybe we can all grieve together on how that has ended in such a way that it ended. Um, but yeah, no. So speaking of the Discord, thanks to everybody who has asked questions. I can't find some of my other questions. I think my phone is just being weird. So I apologize if you asked a question for this set of chapters and it didn't get answered. I will try to find them later and answer them in text. But other than that, I'm ready to dive deep into chapter 47, Marcos.
awesome. I heard that Jacob has some hot takes on chapter 47, so I'm curious to see what he thinks because I think this is a pretty big chapter, especially for Kaladin's character. So, jumping into it, we're in a flashback to about a year ago from present time, where Kaladin, he's been enlisted, he's a military man, but he's decided to re-enlist. We didn't see exactly what happened, but Kaladin failed to protect little Tien, and he doesn't want to face his parents and let them know that Tien is no longer with us.
Yep. Yeah, um yeah, just I guess we're starting to fill that gap and I think I had talked about last episode of I really want to see the gap between where we had the battle to where we pick up with Kaladin when he's like basically a slave for a couple months already or a year. I don't even remember exactly how long. And I think we're gonna get that. So I am very pleased with being able to see that story.
Yeah. So because Kaladin's so caught up in this, he ends up bribing another squad leader to transfer a new recruit named Sen to his squad that reminds Kaladin of Tien, right? Little helpless. I'm not going to describe Tien, but
You hate Tian, just say
I
it.
don't hate Tien. I just hate I don't know. I don't love his interactions. I forget that he's like a little kid, and then I make fun of him, and then Jacob points out that he's like 8 years old.
13 now. He went to go die at 13 years old. Do you feel
Yeah,
better?
no. Anyway, so kind of one of the other moral dilemmas that Kaladin's going through right now, it has to do with the Alethi. Something that he's noticed is that the Alethi are just constantly fighting with each other. They're constantly scheming against each other. But they also join together whenever they need to fight against like foreign invaders, or we see it when they're fighting against the Proshendi. So yeah, really anything to say on that part yet, Jacob?
Not really. I think I have a lot to say towards the end. I think because we've already seen a lot of this, right? We've already seen this section for the most part. So
Yeah. Um, cool. So moving through that, pretty much, there's battle plans, trying to get aid for his men, and then
sorry.
yeah,
We do have a little line here, right? So he's trying to get. I think you're about to talk about like medical supplies. I guess for the fight. I think that's what it's alluding to. I don't think we actually get confirmation on why he's going to the surgeon's station,
yeah,
but he goes to pay him for whatever he's getting out of it. And when he goes to pull out a pouch, something causes him to lose his balance, and it's a translucent white form zipped away, spinning with a carefree air. And then Kaladin goes, storming windspren. So I think we get pretty much confirmation that she has been there all along, not just since when he finds her in the cage when he's being traded off. And I think I've been listening back to our old episodes since we took a break to kind of gather my thoughts, like gather my what my thoughts were back then, and trying to make sure like, okay, what did I call out before, without having to reread everything. And I feel like I knew that she was around before, but this pretty much confirms it. And I I can't find the question in the Discord, but I think somebody asked, um, like, why we think she's been there since before we get, like, to officially meet her in the future, but in the past in the book, or whatever, like, in the earlier chapters. And I don't know. It's they call her a Winspren, but I'm 100% sure she's not a Winspren. Maybe that's what she just appears as for whatever reason. But Kaladin has obviously shown some characteristic, right? Because they always latch on to the whatever phenomena or really strong emotion. So he's showing it here, and I don't know what he would be showing here that causes Syl to like pop up out of nowhere. But she's not just a Winspren, so he's obviously it's a characteristic that he has as to why she's showing, and I really don't know what to put it as, and it's gonna bug me. I remember for a while I was saying depression, but he's not completely depressed here as much as he is later. Like he is, yeah, he's always battled with it, but when we catch up with him earlier in the book, he's like about to kill himself, and that's where she really starts showing up. So
Yeah,
that I feel like that kills that theory for me.
something that still kinda reminds me of, especially because I read it recently, is Berserk. So in Berserk, there's a character named Puck, who's a little elf, and really similar to Syl in that it's a character that follows along the main character and kind of brings up his morals, whenever they're in the wrong, like kind of pointing it out or pointing out when they're acting a certain way. And it has a lot of common with Syl. But I think that's something you see in a lot of other stories too. Kind of the angel on the
The
shoulder
shoulder.
type of character. Yeah.
Yeah, quite literally almost. Yeah, so
Mhm.
I think I don't know. I don't know what you would I can't figure out what Spren she is. I don't subscribe to her being a Winspren. And but
Any guesses?
like the only thing that can come to mind, but it's because there's like I feel like there's conflicting things because I was saying like depression Spren, and maybe that they send I was listening to my thoughts from the earlier podcast episodes that maybe she like there's more of her out there because she says that at one point. And it's just, like, trying to help people not to be depressed, and that's why she kinda, like, encourages them to do certain things that, are better and steps them back from the ledge. But but, like, this, though, like, if she's already here then and he's not at that point, I feel like that defeats the purpose. So then my mind goes to, like, well, what about leadership? Like, is it a leadership sprint or, insert name for that? But
Mhm.
then I'm like, "Okay, well, then why is she there when he's not being a leader and just accepting what he is given, and just about to, like, seal his fate and kill himself?" Or is it because he needed her most at that moment, and that's why she became so relevant or so, like, made herself known to him?
Mhm.
Um, and there was that one point where he's spinning the spear, he's doing his little, art,
I hate some of those parts so much.
and she's, like, I think, like, completely glowing around him. So that part stuck out to me too when thinking about this. But I think I don't know, now I'm torn between like leadership and depression. But I'm not quite sure.
Mhm.
I can't point my finger and say like I think it's this right now. But I just know she's not a Windsprend. So I'm not gonna
Yeah.
buy that.
Okay. Interesting. Cool. So from there, we kind of move into the meat of the chapter. So Kaladin, he's in battle. He sees Sen, the new recruit who's reminding him of Tien, um, kind of caught up in the middle of the enemy, and he's kind of caught between fighting the battle, but also wanting to rush the boy's aid because he's stuck on this dilemma. And pretty much as this is all going on, he ends up seeing that there is a Shardbearer on the battlefield in golden shard plate with a majestic shard blade. And the Shardbearer starts to just trample Sen and kills a bunch of the other members of the squad, on his way over to take on Amaram, who we can assume also is wearing Shard. Um, at that point, Sen dies, which is obviously a big thing for Kaladin just because it reminds him again of what happened with his brother. And
And it's
from
not
here,
just Sen. His
yeah,
squad
it's
gets
yeah, his
wiped.
squad just gets wiped. And then from there, Kaladin pretty much goes to fight the Shardbearer as it's approaching Amaram. And when this happens, he's fighting him with his spear. His spear gets cut with a shard blade, but he catches the spearhead and he slams it into the eye of the Shardbearer, killing him. I don't know if you'd like to stop there, but there's just
Yeah, no,
one
we can
last
talk about
instance.
that part. I like that we get to see we've seen it a couple of times now, but I don't think so much against humans. The shard blades, like how they're like nuclear weapons in a way. Um, just the complete like yes, even though Kaladin killed him, that guy probably killed what 10 times the amount of people, or not even more. Like he could probably take out like for every one of him, there's probably like 300 people on the battlefield that die if you don't get bested by someone like Kaladin.
That kind of brings up something though. I'm not sure if it really ties into what happens here, but I would imagine the people who are wearing shard plate or have a shard blade, they probably should take their training very seriously. But I could imagine some of them not, because they're like, I walk in and I annihilate everything. Like, why would I need to really know how to fight?
Well, I think some people see it as like a political thing, which I think he wants you to or he makes it that way in the story, where it's not so much like, "Hey, I'm the best shard wielder," but like we have one and that gives us a say. That gives us a seat at the table because we can go and out and wipe out villages pretty much at will. And I'm sure there are people who train with it, like Dalinar and Adolin, and then there's people who don't train with it. Like, I don't imagine Shallan being the best shard bearer. You know what I mean? She probably
Mhm,
can't hold her own against a lot of people in the military.
mhm. Yeah, okay. So how do you feel about Kaladin killing a Shardbearer?
Well, so I think at first I was like, and when we see this battle from Sen's point of view, I thought I didn't think he killed him. They kind of hint at it, if I remember correctly, later on that that guy got killed. But I didn't think that they had killed him. I thought, like, the battle was over and they kinda, like, surrendered. So, seeing that he killed him I mean, we know that Kaladin, 1, was already a skilled fighter, then 2, he has, like, this aura about him that's obviously I think of, Wheel of Time and what do they call it? Taviran, where he is almost shaping stuff around him. Like, he he is causing things can't happen to him, he happens to things, if that makes sense.
He's the main character.
Yeah, literally, and I think, like actually, shout out to Wheel of Time because that's a very cool, like, way of explaining, like, plot armor and stuff like that. But, um, so, I mean, I think we can start getting into well, finish it, and then I can get into how I really feel about this chapter or about this
Yeah, so,
sequence.
well, the last real big thing is it's kind of the unspoken rule, or I guess spoken rule, that you kill a Shardbearer, you can take their shard blade.
It's not the unspoken rule, it is how the shard works.
Okay, yeah.
It is the shard, at least that's to my understanding. It's like Harry Potter with the wands. Like, if you disarm or kill
You are the
someone,
bearer.
that wand recognizes you as the rightful owner.
Yeah. But when this happens, Kaladin refuses to take
Yes.
the sharp blade
Yes.
because he believes it would make him one of them, the corrupt light eyes. And he pretty much tells Korab, who's with him, take it. Like, I don't care. You can have it.
Yeah, and you know what happened to Korra probably.
Yeah.
Um, alright, so let me pull up a question because they asked about this in the Discord, and they basically hit all the topics that I wanna talk about. Alright, here's the question. We've seen this battle before from Sen's point of view in the chapter Cheekly critically, I don't even know if I pronounced that right, referred to by many in the fandom as prologue number 3, which, yes, it is prologue number 3, even though it's
Which
chapter 1.
chapter number is it?
Chapter 1, but it's
Oh,
definitely a prologue. How do you feel about the reframing of the flashback? I'll go one by one. How do you feel about the reframing of the flashback from Kaladin's point of view? In general, anytime we get the same scene from a different point of view, I'm a sucker for it. Like if it I saw Weapons this year. I think you saw it too, Marcos. Um, that movie is the same couple days, you just start seeing different points of view, and you can see like, "Oh, this was happening over here while this was happening," or, "There was that guy, and he was really actually right here before." I love that. So, to get that, like, just talking about the point of view, I think it's cool. I think it's cool to see Kaladin before we like, how inside Kaladin's head before we get slave Kaladin. So I enjoyed that, and I'll move on to the rest of the question. Does it change anything for you, or would you have rather had the whole story at the beginning? And I think this is where my problems start to come up with this chapter. It doesn't change anything for me. Like, I don't really know. I think about this a lot, and listening through the podcast, I talk about it a lot. The order in which things are presented from an author, I feel like is very important, or I see it as very important. And right now, it might change. To me, having this as kinda like a big reveal at the end fell flat. Like, I thought there was gonna be a real reveal of, like, who this Bright Lord is, and it happens with theorizing, where sometimes your theories go way out there compared to, like, what the story's actually gonna tell you, and you can't help but feel a little let down because you were in your own head about it, but there's just I don't know, it didn't feel like something that needed to wait 840 pages to find out, you know? I think if you have this in the beginning, maybe don't show what he did with the shard blade, because I think that's the only part that's kinda like, "Whoa," you know? It doesn't
well,
change anything to
that's
me.
the only difference. I mean,
No, you don't find out that he killed him. You don't find out that
yeah,
he
in
killed the guy.
chapter 1, it kind of send blacks out right as
Yeah.
Kaladin's going to fight
Like,
him.
they don't even kill Sen, he just freaks out. So it's like, all that I don't know, like, there is nothing in here. There's not a big like, why couldn't this have been okay, you say that he refused a shard blade in the beginning. Maybe you don't the only thing is that you don't completely understand what a shard blade means that early on. And I don't know if it just doesn't change anything for me. Like, and I think I'm a little disappointed of like, I knew we were gonna come back there. I think I had talked about it throughout the podcast. Like, I know we're gonna go back there. I know we're gonna go back there. And it just doesn't change anything for me. And moving on with the rest of the question,
So
I think
finding out that he killed a Shardbearer changes nothing for you.
that it happens this late in the story. Okay, so the question is, does it change anything for you, or would you rather have the whole story at the beginning?
Oh, okay.
So I think, yeah, I think like you could have this at the beginning. Okay, this is a two-parter, right? And then it goes on to say, like, it goes on to ask, why do you think ultimately that Kaladin refuses the shards? Is it moral driven, trauma driven, prejudice driven, or something else? And I think this, like, the real part of me that I can't get behind is his refusal of the shard blade. And this is all subjective, you know. I don't think it's like the worst thing that I've ever read. I don't think it's bad. It's just he is willing to go fight their wars, right? I think to answer the question, I think it's prejudice driven. I don't think it's really moral driven. He hates the light eyes, and he can't do something they do because then it makes it more like him. It's not that he's better, like I think he's morally better than them. I think it's just simply because he hates them and he doesn't want to be anything like them. Um, I think that's where it really comes from. But then
Yeah, I think
he
it's all prejudice.
he goes and fights their wars because Tien's dead, and he went to protect Tien. He could have stepped away. If he didn't want to face his parents, he could have gone and like done something else. But he stays to fight the wars, and he wants to go to the Shattered Plains. He wants to go fight those battles. But then he gets the Shard Blade, where honestly, he could probably start making a change because he would automatically move up the ranks. And he goes, "Nah, I'm good." And to me, I'm just like, I don't know if I can like get behind that. And maybe it's not that it's bad, it's just that like I think that was dumb on Kaladin to not pick up that weapon.
I mean,
And
that's
his
kind of Kaladin, though. I mean, he doesn't exactly do, like, the smart decision. He just stays true to, like, what he thinks.
Yeah, but I just but then also then, like, his whole reason of, like, "Oh, well, like, I would just be like them," but I'm like, you're fighting their wars. At this point, he wanted to go fight their wars. He wanted to go be a soldier for them. For whatever like, I don't know, I could not I don't love his reasoning, but I do think it's prejudice driven, um,
I
in in
I
that
could see
framework.
the reasoning, but I think it's true to Kaladin's character, is that Kaladin, he doesn't always do the smart thing, he's just gonna do what he thinks he should do. And even if it doesn't make sense to other people, he's like, "Oh, well, that's what I'm gonna do." So,
Yeah, but then so, like but to that point, though, I think combining all my feelings for that, I just feel like this reveal was kinda like I think this was supposed to be a big moment for me, and I think of, like, Shallan's big moment, in the last set of chapters, and that just, like, was an absolute knockout for me. This was like, like, "Oh, like, here we go, like, who's gonna be in the armor?" Like, I was really and again, I think my theories, got the best of me here. I was really on the thing of, like, who's in that shard plate? Who is that Shardbearer, and, like, why are they there being such a pivotal part of that situation? And it wasn't. So I think I kinda, like, had this, built up in my mind, which is my own thing, and I love, like, theorizing and stuff like that. So I don't wanna, like, take away from the book for that. It just this wasn't as crazy of a reveal to me as I think it was supposed to be. So, like, it didn't hit the way I think the book wanted it to hit for me. And I think I don't know. I just I this could have been in the beginning, and I think I would have felt the same, and probably wouldn't have felt as, like, of a letdown because I would have gotten this information and known, whereas now I'm like, "Okay, we're coming back here." Like, again, 840 pages into the book. I'm expecting something to, like, "Whoa," like, "Dang, this is what happened here," and, like, I get that, I'm like, "Huh, okay." I don't know. That's how I feel. Am I wrong, Marcos? Do
um,
you remember reading this chapter when you first read this book?
yeah, I remember this being a pretty cool part,
Geeky.
but also I read it very differently than me and you. You know, like, we're reading it week to week, a few chapters. I
Yeah,
read it just straight through. So,
almost year to year at this
I
point.
I never really got the whole, like, "Oh, well, like, that's it." You know, like, the experience of like, when you watch a show and you watch one episode and you're like, "Oh, that's all I got out of that episode." Like, I compared to watching it when the whole show is out, like, it's a different experience. So, I don't remember if I was let down or not by this. I wouldn't say anything about, like, what else is to come, but yeah, it was just a part, and then there's more. So,
Yeah, I just feel like that we haven't gotten this like, we got this POV so late into the book. I think it was supposed to hit a little harder. I don't think it was supposed to be taken as another, uh, chapter,
I think
especially it coming right after Shallan's chapter. I think we're, like I guess would say, like, we're at the climax is what I feel like of Shallan and Kaladin's story, like, either right there or, like, it's happening, like, right before it or it's happening now.
yeah.
So I just feel like I don't know, and I think I was listening back to the old episodes, and then even in the later chapters that we're gonna discuss today too, like, my biggest complaint about this book is the editing. I feel like the pacing gets really weird switching between these I guess we switch between, like, 3 characters at a time because usually each part isn't everybody. Um,
I mean, this book, it asks a lot of you. I mean, it is incredibly long,
it is,
and
but it also, like there's times where I feel like, "Man, if you would have put this chapter here or, like, added on another Shallan almost said Shaladin, another Shallan chapter, like, it wouldn't feel like, 'Oh, man, I gotta wait for that again.'" Like, I don't know, there's something about it where
you think just like with the Shallan chapters, like, breaking up these stories between flashbacks and switching between characters is kind of ruining the momentum of the
it
stories.
Ye yes, like, it doesn't make it bad, it's just, like, I'll be like
Because Game of Thrones, they did that too, but I felt like every time you got a chapter with a character, it was almost like its own story, I guess. Like, it felt like things wrapped up before you
yeah,
moved on to the next character.
Exactly, and I feel like Wheel of Time had this similar problem too, where I felt like, okay, we're picking up speed with Perrin, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're right there. Oh, we're cutaway, and it's like, and then we
So
gotta
it's
pick up
constant, like,
speed
gas
again.
and brake and gas and
Yeah, and
brake.
I think it makes it feel very disjointed. Like it doesn't flow well. Like it's not
Mhm.
that what's in here I'm not liking; it's that I'm liking it, and then you take it away from me for something that's like at such a lower energy level. Now, these kind of, I guess, is different. This two situation where it's like you have Shallan's crazy chapter, and I feel like a big chapter, action-packed chapter for Kaladin at least. Um, and I think this one was more of what was shown to me wasn't as exciting as in my mind I was expecting it to be, and that's a me thing. Like I told you, if this is at the beginning, I don't think I have any complaints. It's like cool. Wow, he reviews the Shardblade. Like I know that's gonna come up later, but it just I think I was expecting more out of what happened then, and I'm hoping that like now Tien's death, I'm kind of like not that I theorized a lot about it, but I'm wondering like, man, is this gonna be like a letdown, like he fell off a hole or something like that? Um, you know, I don't know, but overall, I think what I am interested to find out like from this information is I know Kaladin squad is gonna get like Korib. That dude's done. Like he is done. They are going to kill that guy and take his shard blade, and I think that's where because Kaladin always talks about like how he was betrayed by Bright Lord Amaram, and which is why I thought like this whole thing with the Shardbearer coming in was going to be a lot more political than maybe it was. It's but, like, I think what he's talking about is he's gonna give it to Corp. He's gonna think Cal's gonna think, "Okay, well, that means he's gonna move up the ranks and, live a good life," and it's gonna be like, "Nope, that's mine now. Goodbye." Um, and
Yeah.
Kaladin's gonna hate
Just,
that.
we'll talk.
And
We'll
I
talk
wonder
soon.
and I wonder because I think they talk about him killing a Bright Lord at one point, and I wonder if it's gonna be Amaram. I wonder. But, I do wanna talk about so that's, like, plot stuff. There was some lore stuff that was interesting to me, and I can't remember if I've seen it before or not, but Kaladin mentions, the old magic at one point. I don't know if it was this chapter or a previous chapter, but I saw it underlined, so I'm sorry if I'm going back
Mhm.
to last week. Oh, yeah, it was last week. And I can't remember if I talked about it because we recorded 2 weeks ago because of the holidays.
It was
Um,
really late.
yeah, it was. It was getting pretty late too. But anyways, that was interesting. I'll skip over that because it was from last week. If you're interested for my thoughts, join the Discord channel. I'll talk about old magic in there. All right. I'm ready to move
So,
on if you are. If you
just
don't have any
just
other
real
questions.
quick, because
Yeah.
this can become its own little tangent on its own. How do you like his approach to the magic right now compared to, like, another series like Game of Thrones, for example? Like, I do like his magic systems. I think they're really cool, and they're very, very fleshed out. But I also really like the dark magic that you see, like, in Game of Thrones or in, like, Berserk or First Law.
I will
I
say
like
this. Oh, sorry.
I
Sorry to
just
cut you
like
there.
darker stories, I guess, and sometimes this one comes off not too heavy compared to some of the other stuff I've read. This is probably, besides, like, your Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, the most, like, lighthearted fantasy. I usually read dark fantasy, so
I think um the way he has slowly given me information about the magic system like works for me so well because I love to like try to get there before the author tells me, if that makes sense. So there's
and he
little
does give a lot of meat and
breadcrumbs.
details. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like I didn't like Seth. Is it, it's
Oh,
Seth, right?
Zveth?
Yeah, Seth. I think it's just Seth. I can't remember which one was silent. I got corrected on the second episode when I listened back. But him, Von.
Mm.
Oh yeah, Sun. God damn it, I'm messing up his name so bad. I
That son of Shinovar.
truthless.
Toothless. Oh.
Uh, his introduction to the magic because it's so I think so much at one point, and then he goes in so much detail, and that first part kind of put me off to it. But then there's other stuff where I think you're going through characters who obviously have some sort of magical ability, and they don't understand it, so you don't get that
Mhm.
you know step by step detail of everything that's happening. I've loved because like you're kind of learning it with them and it lets me put together pieces and, like, theorize and guess and, like, go back and read other things. I've really enjoyed the way he's, introduced it with them. I didn't and we had talked about it in the first episode with Death, where it was like I was kinda complaining, I'm like, "Okay, I think he's telling it this way because this is how this character's thinking," which is fair, it just doesn't translate to me enjoying it as much reading. Whereas, like, with Shallan, where she's like, "Whoa, what the hell is happening?" That is
Yeah.
just more enjoyable for me, and I think if I see that progress of going her from going, like, "No idea to what I'm doing," to, like, "Hey, here's what I'm doing and how I'm doing it," it might not bother me as much. But right
I
now,
could
I'm
I could
really
see
enjoying it.
people enjoying well, I mean, a lot of people do enjoy his approach to the magic because you can sink your teeth into it and you will eventually, I guess, find the answers to most of it, you know? Unlike other magic systems, like look at the magic systems in Game of Thrones. It's like you're not getting answers.
Well, and then so you're talking about this, right? And then just because I brought up the old magic, like, it seems like there's going to be
Multiple magic.
yeah, a bunch of stuff going on, which we've already been introduced, like, we have different, like, we have soul casting, we have surge binding, whatever Kaladin's doing, like, fate binding, if you wanna call it that.
Mhm.
Um, so I think, like, old magic is gonna be more of the, like, not really set rules, and I think that's where we're getting those
Maybe like more
capital
of the
letters.
spren-based magic is
I
like the
wouldn't call
old
Spren like
magic.
magic. I feel like Spren's like a force of nature in this world. I think like Shallan's memory is old magic.
Mm.
Dalinar's thrill that he gets is old magic. Um,
I feel like what we're talking about is kind of that never-ending debate of like high fantasy versus low fantasy. What
and
is it?
well, to be fair, like I think most of the stuff I've read has been very vague when it comes to magic, except for Name of the Wind, and I really enjoyed Name of the Wind, where there was there was both too. There was like naming, which you kind of get explained
Mhm.
to, but it's like, yeah, you just gotta practice it. I don't know, there's not like a set rule, and then you get the other stuff that he does with, like, the heat transfer and all that stuff, and that is very it's been a while since I read it,
It's
so I
it's
can't
kinda
quote it.
interesting because we could probably even do a whole discussion just on this topic, but what you find interesting in your storytelling in a book versus what you find interesting in storytelling in like a show, movie, or video game. Because I feel like you differ slightly between the mediums. Like I think one time you told me like the very Final Fantasy, very whimsical, like over the top hero stuff, you like a lot more in books. Whereas like
Yeah.
in shows and movies and stuff, you're kind of like, like I don't really care for
It's also because it doesn't translate to the screen that well,
it. Mhm.
honestly. Like, that first season of Wheel of Time when they used magic, it just looked bad, you know? Or, like, even Stranger Things, because since we that's talk of the town right now.
Oh gosh.
It just gets weird when it doesn't look as cool when Eleven's just throwing her hand in front of you, you know? Like, there's no, like it would take a lot of money to make one scene with that look really good. Whereas in a book, you can go through so much more detail and, like, get into, like, what it feels like to cast that magic, you know what I mean? There's just so much
Yeah.
more you can do with it, which is why I think I accept it a lot more in a book. It's just a lot easier for them, and they can dig
Yeah.
so much more into it. There is
Well,
though, I will say, sorry, you brought it up, so,
yeah,
ride
I
the
derailed
train,
it.
buddy.
I derailed it.
Um, what's it called? Dune. The Dune movies, the way they do, like, the voice and stuff and, like, his visions, perfect. The translation of from a book to what that would look like visually and tastefully in a movie, excellent. I think that's the perfect example. Like, when he's seeing visions and it's just like it's not just like saying, like I don't know, the way he does it, that is, I think, top
Mhm.
notch of, like, translating from a book to a movie, certain, like, otherworldly stuff, especially the voice with the way they make it sound and the way they present like, they show you, "This is what he wanted her to do," and then, like, you're cut and you're taken back and it's like, "Oh, she didn't do it," or
You see, the the
it's good.
this is kinda why I would like us eventually sorry, just to wrap us attention, to eventually get a little more into, like, some manga stuff, because manga is an interesting medium because you have the written part that you would get from, like, a book, but then you also have the visuals. So it's almost like its own medium that you can I'd be curious how you feel about that, like, how stuff comes across in that medium versus a book versus a show. Like, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Anyways, so let's move on. Chapter 48, Strawberry. We're back with, Shallan. Shallan, she is in the hospital, and she's on suicide watch after her attempted suicide to cover up her soul casting, that we
which we
saw.
find out wasn't actually trying to be, like, she didn't realize it was gonna be taken as attempted suicide, which I'm like, "Shalon, baby, you know better. Come on,
You
don't."
slit your wrist.
Yeah. How did you expect that to be taken? Not knocking that. No, that wasn't like a complaint. It's just it was funny to me where I'm like, "Come on. What do you expect people to think?"
Yeah, she's a fighting girl, remember?
Cheers.
Anyways, she's starting to grow accustomed to these weird symbol-headed creatures who have been lurking in her drawings, so she's just kinda getting comfortable with them, I guess. They're not leaving. And she has her safe pouch buttoned inside of her hospital robe, which, has a soul caster. So, she notes that her situation right now in the hospital and being under watch kinda reminds her of her time, back home, when she was living with her father
Hold on
and
before you
how.
continue, because I know you're reading the summaries. It does not tell us, like, where Capsule got the jam from. So if it tells you that, don't read that to me, okay? Just
Alright.
I just don't want
Um,
that to come out.
alright. Um, so yeah, she says it kinda reminds me of the time. It reminds her of having kinda like everything you ever want, but also not being able to leave. It's almost like being like a prisoner in a way.
Uh-huh.
But she does make note that, well, a suicide attempt could make a really easy excuse for why you should let me go home, especially because she kinda needs an out of the situation. Um, from here, King Taravangian, he comes over and he
Oh,
visits.
good job.
What?
That's pretty good pronunciation.
I did audiobooks, so
Okay,
yeah. Yeah.
that's true.
Actually, I called Brandon just to
Yeah.
make sure. So King Taravangian comes, to visit, and he's like, "Alright, Shallan, you have right, yes, it's alright." So Yasna, she comes over, um, tries to apologize, but we see, I mean, Yasna's kind of not a very emotional character.
She apologizes as much as she's going to. That was an apology, you know?
Yeah.
That's who she is. That's what you're gonna
Yeah.
get.
And then she, gives Shallan a book, the Book of Endless Pages.
Ooh, cool stuff.
Yeah. Anything you wanna say on that?
We have a question that I'll get to at the end of the chapter with that. We can
Okay.
save that.
So from here, Capsule, visits, and once again, he brings Shallan's favorite, bread basket with some jam. And, Yasna's kind of curious about this, and she picks up the jam and smells it, but she doesn't eat any of it. She does eat bread, though. And Capsule kinda starts getting a little bit insistent of like, "Hey, Shallan, you should have some jam." But then Shallan smells it and is like, "This doesn't smell right, like, something's kinda weird." So then Capsule, he scoops some up and eats it, and he's like, "Nah, it's good, tastes good." But then suddenly, he gets up and he starts running out of the room and collapses to the floor. Um, at that point, Shallan, she freaks out, she runs over, but she's also starting to feel dizzy, and Yasna points out, like, homie's been poisoned, and he's going to, he needs help. But from here, thinking that Yasna can't, um, save her with the broken soul caster, Shallan ends up taking out the stolen one and giving it to Yasna before she feels a flash of heat and blacks out.
Yeah. Crazy chapter.
You
Crazy
like Shallan,
chapter.
huh? You love Shallan
I
chapters.
do. I do. Like her chapters are just always so good. Um So this chapter's pretty short. This is when had put in the Discord where I'm like, maybe we'll read chapter 50 because even though I really like this chapter, there's not like too much there. Like it's pretty cut and dry. So I'm just
Mhm.
gonna jump in straight to the questions because I think they do a good job of guiding my thoughts here. Not a question. This is from Discord. This is one of my favorite Yasna chapters. We see her attempting to apologize. And I would say that too. I think it was very nice to see, or very interesting to see, like, she had been waiting out there, like, all the time, trying to get in to see, yeah, Shalon, um, to see if she was okay and stuff like that. And I think that goes to show you, like, how she feels about her. And she even goes to tell her, like, we would have lost, like, one of the best, scholars, like, up and coming scholars. And like, it's one of those weird dynamics with kinda, like, asshole mentors where, like, when you get praise from them, it's like, "Dang," like, that means something, and even her
Yeah,
just trying to
tell me about
apologize.
it.
Yeah, yeah. We've all been through it. Um, you just it just feels like, "Dang, that felt good." I know that that was earned if they're saying that. So I thought that was really cool. The next part is we learn about the book of endless pages that almost managed to convert her, which is also very interesting. I don't have much to say about the book of endless pages. Hold on. Sorry, I'm reading a little bit of it. Well, you really see like why Yasna loves the book of endless pages because it is almost like it's her. It's what she does. Like she seeks out truth and that whole let me see what is it? The devotary of sincerity. I'm pretty sure I mispronounced all of that for some reason. They're really out there to like they challenge their own beliefs and then through that challenging it strengthens their faith, which I think is a very powerful statement or a very powerful like what would you call that procedure. Um and I think it's perfect to give to Shalon because she is at a point where she questions like almost everything right now from like a standpoint of am I doing the right thing? Just constantly. She's constantly like, what do I do? And am I doing it right? And I think her pushing her to that, you know, I guess you would call it group within the church is very, I think, very like wise of Yasna and like recognizing, hey, this girl still believes in this stuff, even though I don't. But if she were to continue down this path, I think she would really enjoy being in this. And I think just one for Shalon being exposed to that, and two, Yasna recognizing that in her student shows her like, even though she doesn't like seek out mentors or seek out NTs, she's a very good mentor that understands her pupils. And I really enjoyed that. And I'm really excited to see like the book of endless pages continue to get brought up because I feel like it will be. What about your thoughts on that whole group of devotaries that what is it? How do I pronounce that? De devotaries? Whatever.
Mhm.
That look
Well,
after.
I like what you said about it. Honestly, I don't have much to say. I do know that like Brandon is Mormon. I don't know if he's ever talked kind of how he's introduced his own view of his faith into the books, or if there's any, kind of ties to it. Um, yeah, I do like the whole like questioning parts about your faith and using that as a means of strengthening your faith.
Mhm.
I've always appreciated that mindset, especially like in my own beliefs of, hey, question things, learn about them. Don't just like take them at face value. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, no, good stuff. I will say,
I do like the poisoning. I think the poisoning is cool. It reminds me though of the whenever a character gets poisoned, it always reminds me of Game of Thrones.
oh,
Like poison is a woman's weapon, like it's a weapon of cowards.
whoa, spoiling, spoiling.
No, I don't even know. I don't remember. I'm not telling anything about what's to come. But that's just always where my mind goes to whenever there's poison involved.
It's funny because in Dune they have those like poison testers and everything. I don't know if you remember that. Like anytime they eat something, they have a little poison, like a machine, I guess, that tests
Mm.
for poison and stuff like that before they eat anything. I don't know. But before we get to the poison stuff, I will talk about that. Venden, Veden keeps getting brought up. Veden. Well, here it's spelled Vendinar, Vendinar. Gosh, man, I'm struggling with pronunciations right now. It's late, guys. I'm sorry. This keeps getting brought up. We found out that I'm blanking on his name, but the guy who like knows what's up with Kaladin and Kaladin's chapter, he's from there. He gets weirded out that the
Not
guy knew
Lopin,
that
is
he
it?
was from there. What?
Lopin?
No, not Lopin. Oh, was it Lopin? I can't remember. I can't remember who it was. Anyways, but then it gets brought up in one of the epigraphs. I think this Kaladin's one that we just finished. Hold on. Oh no. Well, Viden keeps getting brought up, and I used to think our triangulation point was going to be the Shattered Plains, which it probably still is. But this place keeps getting brought up more and more as this book goes on. So I'm like, okay, something important is happening there. Maybe not one of these characters will go there, but maybe we'll get, I'm sure we're gonna get, this is a long series. I'm sure we're gonna get more characters. Something's going on there. And I think eventually within this series we're gonna get there. Very vague, a very general statement, but it's been popping up a lot. So going back to the poison. This and I don't know how I missed it. This is one of those things where I was reading it, especially with the way we've been reading this book where I like underline so much stuff or like, I see a word I don't recognize or someone's acting fishy, like I underline it. I missed, like, Capsule kinda being like, "Hey, eat it, eat it, eat it." I was just like, "God, this guy, he's so pushy," you know? Like, my mind was not there. And
Mhm.
then I had to, like, go back and reread it because I was like, "What? Like, what just happened?" And I love when a book makes me do that. When something happens and I'm like, "Oh, pause. I gotta go back." That's I don't know, that's always fun for me. Um, and I might need help from you, Marcos, and the Discord, like, if he was trying to poison her, because we get a question here. Um, I guess not a question, it's just a statement. Oh, okay, yeah. Capsule's betrayal. We talk about Capsule's betrayal. I feel like if he was trying to betray her, like why did he eat the jam? I'm a little confused there.
Suicide mission.
Was he like was it that or was he like I can't live with the guilt of doing this, so I'm just gonna do it too type of thing? You know what I mean? I was a little
Mhm.
like cuz it does seem like a suicide mission, but then also he kinda didn't like, he committed suicide before the mission, you know? Like, you gotta do the mission at the same time. So I'm just
Mhm.
like
'Cause if he wasn't pushy, then I would say, well, he doesn't know.
exactly, like, it's so obvious, right? Like, when I went backwards, like, he knows what's up. Like, he is really pushing her to eat this. And he almost gets Yasna to do it too, you know? And I would think that was just would have been 2 birds, 1 stone. And god damn it, I never trusted this guy, and literally, last time we recorded, I was like, "Maybe I was wrong about him," and I hate that I changed my mind on that. He got me, Brandon got me. Um, but yeah, I just was like, I don't understand that. So the Discord or YouTube, like, can you help me piece together why he ate that? To me right now, it's like he couldn't live with himself for doing it. So he just was like, fuck it, I'm gonna eat it myself while she's eating it so I don't have to like have the guilt of what I did. But it was really confusing to me. And then I really like that that's the kind of catalyst that's gonna make her reveal all her secrets because Shallan's like, no, I'm gonna live and you're gonna find out that I stole your stuff. And I'm a little disappointed in Yasna that she didn't realize that her soul caster was stolen because I kept on saying, like, she's gotta know. She's gotta know this lady has used it before. But I guess I overestimated how often she soul casts. Like I thought that was
Mm.
kind of like an everyday thing for her. Um,
Interesting stuff.
what do you think? Why do you think Capsule ate the jam?
I don't know, just gotta keep reading.
No. I hate that answer.
Well, I actually don't entirely remember, so I could just
There we
comment like,
go.
I have no clue. Um, I think it shows that he's a pawn. He's a pawn in a bigger scheme.
Yeah, which I mean, you can tell a lot of his beliefs he hasn't, like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of times he was regurgitating stuff, and then I don't know. So do you think, okay, let me ask you this then, taking back, like, you know, I know you've read a little bit, or you read the series already. Last set of series, when he was like, I'll go with you, was that his actual feelings? And he was like, hey, this is the chance to, like, leave whatever is going on here with him trying to kill her behind? Or was that
Yeah, I think so.
I need to keep an eye on her?
Yeah, I think he was a conflicted character.
So you think, like, he was like, "Hey, let's, like, yes, leave and I'll leave with you so that I don't have to continue down this path that I've been put on."
Yeah, I think so.
I disagree. I think he's a rat. I think once a rat, always a rat.
Uh-huh.
And he was gonna go to keep tabs on her.
Mm.
That's what I'm thinking right now. And I don't know if he's ever gonna make it out of here and we're gonna find the truth, but I feel like you betray my trust once, man, and that's it. I just kidding. I'm not that hardcore. But like with that, if you're gonna try to kill me, I don't think I'm ever gonna trust you again or trust what you have said before.
Yeah.
And then so sorry. Yeah, any more thoughts on that? Okay, so here's the actual question for the chapter. The symbol-headed creatures in Shallan's drawing no longer feel threatening to her. What do you think this change suggests? I might not go full like plot what this suggests, but internally with Shallan, I think it's her accepting that she doesn't understand the world and she's about to like embark into stuff that's just weird and unknown to her, and she's accepting it. Like,
Yeah, I would agree considering what she just went through. She's probably kinda like, "Well, there's some stuff going on."
yeah, I think it's just her not feeling so freaked out by those things is just internal. Yeah, yeah, I think so. I agree. Just she's just like, this is my life now, and this is what it's gonna be. It's gonna be weird stuff going on. And I just wish you would ask. I hope. Well, now I'm like the truth is out, right? I'm really excited for the next Shalon chapter, which we'll get. I guess next time we record to see like that post conversation, that debrief with Yasna. Like this is what's been happening, and this is the situation I'm in. I really hope we get that. If we don't get that, I think I might be a little disappointed. But love this chapter. Shalon stuff, amazing stuff. If this book was just her POV, I think I would love it still. You know.
Mhm.
All right. Any questions on
Interesting,
that?
interesting. No. We just gotta keep reading. It's juicy. We're
I
on
feel
the juicy parts, like
Yeah,
you
I feel
said.
like we're getting to the part where maybe each individual chapter gets less to talk about, but like the collectives, like we're in the run of like, okay, boom, 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 boom. I'm starting to feel like that's where we're getting. I think the pin has dropped, I would like to hope, and we're just gonna start getting that Sanderlanche, as I've heard it called. So maybe like we might not talk about each chapter as much, but
Yeah,
like,
because we have 2 more in this part, and then we have the interlude. I
God
don't know.
damn
I don't
it.
remember how long the interludes are.
I'm telling you, man, this guy's killing me with his interludes. I just wanna, don't
It's a
do this
marathon,
to
man.
me, man.
I always thought book 1, it's a lot slower than the other ones, at
No,
least I
I
feel.
agree, I agree. I think this part especially, part 3 has really been, I really enjoyed it. Yes, I think the only part that I not have been a huge fan of was the reveal and the way that was done with, like, well, the last chapter we talked about
But
with
even
Kaladin.
that, you're still uncovering it, so.
Yeah, 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 but it's been, and it's not even that it's, like, picked up, it's just I think the what's been presented has been very interesting, and, we know these characters a little bit more well, or a little bit better, so, uh, you know, it's been a good time. This part has probably been my head and shoulders above the other parts for me as far as enjoyment goes. So I'm
Mm,
excited to see how this book wraps up. But we got one more chapter to talk about tonight.
yeah. So, last chapter for tonight, chapter 49, To Care. So we're back with Kaladin, in the current time, and Kaladin and the Bridge 4, they're on chasm duty. And in this chapter, we're gonna get kind of a lot of development of the individual members of Bridge 4 and learn a little bit more about their backstory. But pretty much at this time, Kaladin, he's kind of thinking about escaping. He's thinking about how can he get the men out of here safely and how to train them up so they have the ability to even do that. So during this time, though, he's also noticing certain things about himself, like how he healed so fast, considering the injuries that he went through.
Yeah.
And he, like Jacob mentioned earlier, he brings up if he's possibly cursed, if he's cursed by those like those who sought out the old magic, or if maybe another type of spren is following him as well, not just Syl.
I think he even
Um,
I might be misremembering because I read this, like, a week and a half ago that he kinda questioned Syl herself for a little bit. I
mhm.
think. I might be
Well,
totally
that brings up a
misremembering that.
question about the spren I was gonna ask earlier, but I didn't. Do you think the character of a spren reflects what type of spren it is?
So I think, if I remember correctly, the general rule of thumb is yes. Like, Windspren tend to be whimsical. I remember that. Like, mischievous, kind of. And then we had that guy who studies Spren in one of the interludes, and I can't remember everything about that. I might go back to that when we get to these interludes, but yes, definitely. Like, if it's a water Spren, it's going to behave differently than a wind Spren. I'm pretty sure that was, like, set up as ground rules. But then,
Mhm.
like, Syl is such a different thing, which is why it makes me think that she is a different type of Spren. But yeah, I do think so. I think we get told that. If not explicitly, it's heavily implied.
Hmm, okay.
Um, but yeah, sorry. Continue.
Yeah, no problem. So then we get Kaladin's leadership moment. They find a spot for training, and he starts to tell the bridgemen, like, we're going to train, but we're going to do this a little bit differently than how we would usually do this in the military, mainly because these are a bunch of slaves. You know, they're not people who are looking for any glory. They are just trying to escape. They're trying to survive. Um, One of the first things he teaches them is that a soldier should care, that they should not be just cold and emotionless.
What a good part, huh? What a
Yeah.
good part. It's okay to care. Ah, beautiful. Sorry, continue.
I can't tell if you're serious or you're making a joke.
No, I'm serious. That is such like a I just liked that. I like that so much. Like, you get we've talked about this in earlier podcasts where this book can be read as almost like a leadership guide, especially with Kaladin's chapters. And I think I don't want to go to the whole, like, what do they call it? Like the male toxic masculinity type stuff. But I think it's pretty cut and dry that a lot of generations feel like if you show emotion, like, it's no good. Or, you got to be like ice cold to things, and that's the real way to handle things.
Yeah.
And just the whole speech of it's okay to care and why it helps you to care. Beautiful. But I loved it. I loved it. Genuinely really
Yeah.
enjoyed
No,
that part.
Kaladin, he's a good leader. He has really good leadership moments.
Definitely.
Um, Besides,
Leadership friend.
yeah.
I'm getting close. I know I'm getting close. There's I'm gonna get it. I know I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna find out what she is before they tell me.
All right. Besides teaching them they should care, the
It's
next thing he does is
keep
he
the
drops the
fees,
spear and tells them you gotta learn how to stand. So this is where he's teaching them, um, how to carry themselves so that they're not easily pushed over. And
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm gonna cut you off here too. I love this too because if you've played a lot of sports, or if you I don't know, I guess it depends on what sports you've played. One of the first things you learn, or if your coach is good, is gonna teach you your stance.
yeah,
And
same in like martial arts.
yes, and believe it or like, in my experience, that stance is gonna be the same stance you use in basketball when you shoot a free throw as you use to, like, before you, like, set up to block, like, get that shoulder width slightly bent in the knees. That's how you're gonna stand to, like, bat, in baseball. It's just, or if, like, trying to not get knocked over. It's just such a universal, powerful stance. I don't know. It's just like, if you played sports, or like, I guess you said, like, karate and martial arts, like, you're going to have that conversation with your coach, whether it's slightly different or not. Stance will be talked about. I don't know. It was just cool. It was cool to see that as that being the first thing because it is so fundamental. and everything. Or even shoot a gun. I'm sure, like, I haven't gotten formal training to shoot a gun, but, like, yeah, like, if your legs aren't set up right, you're gonna not do well.
Yeah, some of those guns are gonna knock you out.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, but kinda similar in line to, having that experience of that training, as he's teaching Teft about this, he notices that Teft responds like a soldier and kinda gives a little bit of insight on Teft and kinda what his past
He
is.
he called his card there. He was like, he knew he had been kinda saying, like, "This guy, he doesn't react the same way, like, after the bridge runs." He knew something was different about him, and he called his card of, like, basically talking to him like a soldier, and then he talked back like a soldier, and he's like, "Yeah, I got you, boy. I see you." You know? That was cool.
Yeah, so a little development there for Taft, and then also development for Rock. Um, One aspect of Rock that continuously gets brought up is kind of his culture
Uh-huh.
and how they're different than these lowlanders.
Yep.
And he brings up that he can't fight. He's like, "Sorry, can't fight."
Yeah.
Um,
But you find out that what is it, like, because of he's, like I forgot what number he is, but, like, firstborn does this, secondborn does that, and then he think he was the one that was supposed to cook.
yeah,
Yeah. That was cool. That was obviously, there's more to rock than meets the eye, as we found out throughout this book, so that was pretty cool to find out.
yeah.
Just before you go on, in one of the earlier episodes, I talk about how I was excited for the time that we have our Mulan moment with Kaladin, and this is
Mhm.
it. Where, like, you can in this chapter, if you play "Let's get down to business to defeat," the "I'll make a man out of you" song, this is it. This is this chapter, guys. This is this chapter, and I was talking about it. I was very happy to get this chapter. Literally what I imagined in my head. I loved it.
No,
So,
yeah, I mean, in this one, he's definitely coming into the leader, and he's assigning roles, everybody's training. At this point, he sends out Lopin, David, and Chen to go collect salvage because they're kinda doing this under the radar. And one of the kinda bigger things that happens is Kaladin has Syl, um, make
guide
herself
them.
visible. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that they're able to work.
Which Rock had already been able to see her when they were collecting I forget what type of planet it was, but
Yeah,
when they were
which is
collecting
also
those.
interesting about Rock is that he would be
Yeah.
able to see them already.
Yeah, and that wasn't, like I don't think that was intentional, or we don't know if Syl, like, decided to show herself to him or if he just could tell. I don't think that was ever, like, really.
Or maybe certain like, in Berserk, there's something called a physical and an astral world,
Oh,
and
D&D,
depending
upside
on
down.
the mindset of a person, they're able to see certain aspects of the astral world. So there's only, like, certain people who believe in those things are able to actually see beings that are from there.
Well, let me tell you something, Marcus, we're not reading Berserk right now,
We
okay?
should read Berserk. Berserk is great.
What we
Um
have learned about Spren is that there are some Spren that the person only experiencing the emotion can see. Like,
Mhm.
people don't there's a they assume that there's death Spren, but the only people who see death Spren are people who die. So it can neither be confirmed nor denied. So we
Interesting.
we know that there are some Spren that can only be noticed when they are experiencing that sensation, emotion, phenomena, experience, whatever you want to call it. So then begs the question is, okay, if Brock can see her, is it because he's from somewhere else, or is it because he's exhibiting some emotion or characteristic that Kaladin has also?
Mhm.
But Syl isn't like attached to Rock either, so that throws like a little curveball in there.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that was
Interesting.
that was very interesting.
Um,
Also, sorry, I'm gonna go back to my Mulan scene in the animated series, guys, because this is gonna be an animated series, not a movie. Um, this is a montage, by
there's
the
been
way.
talk
This is a
that
montage scene.
no, there's been a lot of people who are saying that Brandon should try to get the people who animated Arcane to animate this. Like, that type of art style would see
That's
it.
fair. I think there's a lot of great styles of animation that are out there now that I don't think it just needs to be them. I
Mhm.
understand, like, they wrote a great show, which I love. That is probably one of my favorite shows ever right now. Um, but, like,
Live action, I don't
Castlevania.
think would work.
No,
I would
he
not
can't do
like
this.
to
You
start
can't
a
do
live
this live
action.
action. The only way you could do it is, like, a movie. It'd have to be a movie, and I think you would lose out on so much if it was a movie.
Yeah.
Um, and you'd have to do I don't know. It would have to be adapted heavily, in my
Some of
opinion.
the stuff would just look weird.
It would, or, like, you just have to leave out so much too. Anyways, but yeah, it's gonna be animated. I'm telling you, like, the Castlevania animation, I love that one too, the way that style looks. There's just so much good animation coming out these days that pick a
Well, I
group
mean, 2 of or the one of the biggest movies of the year was animated, the Demon Slayer movie.
that you're gonna say, Chainsaw Man.
That one too. I mean, just saying like anime, which is its own kind of animation, you could say, is like doing super good nowadays.
Yeah, and it used to just be, like, Pixar that was doing animated movies that were any worth watching, but now, like, there's so much out there on Netflix. Netflix does a good job with animation. That's probably one of their strongest things that they do. HBO's got some good animation stuff too
The
nowadays.
animated Stranger Things shows, Kevin.
That's right. That's right. But no, like I said, this chapter is really great. And then, what else did we I wanted to bring up something. Are you finished with your
Yeah,
recap?
that's pretty much it.
Yeah, this is another one that's pretty short. Um they're gonna find a chasm fiend in here, right? Like, that's just been constantly like, "Oh, man, what if we're down here and one of these things come up?" You know? I think that's gonna be their, "Hey, we've been training. We run across these things, like, are we really fit to do this? Can we actually make a man out of you guys? Make a soldier out of you guys?" Um, but I just calling that I think it's pretty in your it reminds me of the season 8 of Game of Thrones where they're like, "We're gonna be in the crypt. It's safe in the crypt, guys," when they're attacking Winterfell. "The crypt's gonna be safe, guys. Hey, guys, the crypt, it'll be safe. Don't worry about it." And then sure enough, what happens in the crypt? The dead people come out. Um, that feels like that, like chasm fiend. What if we run into a chasm fiend here? Guys, there's chasm fiends here. You know, you gotta be careful. The last crew that was down here went missing because of a chasm fiend, you know? Like, all right, show me it, Brandon. Do it. Um,
So for our next discussion, we only have 2 chapters left before getting to the interludes. Do we want to just cover those 2 chapters then, or do we wanna I don't remember how long the interludes are. I don't know if we wanna
I
try to
mean,
knock out the interludes quick with those 2 chapters. Um,
let's see. It's about 863. It's about 40 pages. I think we can do those 2 chapters and the interludes. Um,
yeah, the interludes usually they're so big picture that we can't really, like, jump too much.
yeah.
And then I suck at remembering anything, so yeah.
Oh, I just looked at who's in part 4,
Oh,
and it's not Shalon. God damn it.
hey, there's a part 5.
Oh, then are you
There
kidding me?
there is a part 5 though.
Her next chapter better satisfy me so much. Gosh, dang it.
Oh, dude, it gets worse, man. There's entire books that'll leave certain characters out.
Well, freaking Game of Thrones started doing that too, where it's just like, "Oh yeah, this book, by the way, is characters you've never spent time with," and it's like, "Come on." I mean, to be fair, I ended up liking it, but it's just
But
like,
it is hard to get into at first, yeah.
well, it's just like again, the whole like her story is at a not just like what my rating of how good I think it is, like it is at a 10 out of 10 on like it's going down. Like we are going downhill right now. And then to just be like, "Mm, maybe next time." Gosh, damn it. Um But yeah, no,
And then
I think we
part
can finish
4
up part
is
3 and then do the interludes. I think that'd be
part
nice.
4 is almost 20 chapters.
Yeah, but we're coming down
We
here.
we're barely doing our 2nd episode back. Yeah, we're really moving along, you know?
No, I'm saying like we only I'm looking at my book right now.
Well, the
We're like
chapters are pretty short.
66. Yeah, I'm telling you, I feel like that's what's gonna happen is these we're probably gonna be able to do more chapters at once because they're not gonna be as meaty. Um, because I feel like that's just what happens towards the end of the book. So they start moving. Um,
Yeah. We might even wanna maybe break like, look at how many pages there are and then see what's, like, a good page number.
Yeah, good. Or I think even what makes sense from like a story's perspective. You get me? Like, does it make sense to stop there or not? Real quick before we wrap up, Oh shoot, I'm losing my thought. I'm losing my thought. I'm losing my thought. What did I want to talk about? Oh, I really like what Kaladin talks about when training these men, where he was noticing like he was having a really easy time with them. And it's because of like I think you kind of touched on it, but they're doing this for survival. So like they are putting every ounce of
Been carrying
effort.
bridges every day.
Yeah. And but they've just been putting every ounce of effort to like live. Like they're doing this to live. And I think not saying people like or whatever. I feel like I think of sometimes people in a just call it a privileged situation versus someone who's like struggling to survive. That like determination is not comparable, and that like hunger will completely surpass any sort of like, oh, he's been training with the best swordsman or stuff like that. And I don't know. I think that was cool to see like them given the opportunity to train under Kaladin. They're gonna be a force to reckon with, basically.
Mhm.
And I think that's cool. That's cool to see. I really
Yeah.
like that little touch. But no, overall, I think this three set of chapters, even though I don't love the reveal of that past experience with Kaladin at the battlefield, I really still enjoyed. This has been my favorite part, hands down. I enjoyed these set of chapters. Shallan's just continues to be like what makes me excited to read this book, and that's not saying that I don't like the other chapters. It's just whatever is going on with her. Just I don't know. I don't know why like I vibe with it so much. Um, and like literally after we go this, I'm probably gonna read her next chapter or after we finish
Oh,
recording
yeah,
this.
I would say if you wanna ride the high you're on, read the next 2.
Yeah, because it's just it. I think we've entered the part where I think I had said this a couple episodes ago, where I understand like what's going on now as far as this book. We're 840 pages in, and I'm saying that, but and like you said, it's a marathon, not a sprint with this series or with any epic fantasy series. So I just feel like the I have an idea of where this is going, and I know I'm probably wrong, but it's nice to have that idea because there was a long time in this book where I was like, "What are we doing here?" And I think you're supposed to feel that way, or just the nature of how big this book is and this series. You kind of feel aimless for a while. So I've been thoroughly enjoying it, and I'm excited to read what happens next in this part. Like,
Yeah. I mean, the next 2 chapters are pretty good. One's,
yeah.
Shallan and one's a Kaladin, and, yeah, it's gonna put a bow on the part, so.
Ali, let me ask you this. What do you think? We're about to finish part three. And then I'm guessing getting into like the home. Like, are we in the Sanderlanche yet, or are we about to be there? I think you can answer me that. I don't think
Um,
that's a spoiler.
gosh, there's I can't remember on the Shallan side 100%. I mean, I know kinda what happens, but on the Kaladin side, there's a lot that's still gonna happen. Like,
In a
that
short amount
one
of
of my
time.
favorite moments in the entire book, or my favorite moment in the entire book hasn't happened.
So, okay, there was a time where when we were first recording this, you said there was a part in this book that like gave you chills, and I think you were referring to Kaladin. I'm pretty sure you said that. Have we had that happen yet, or no?
No.
Okay, okay,
Mm-mm.
okay. Let me ask you this. Then this is my second question. Do you think when this book is all said and done, how am I gonna feel about it? Like we're 840 pages in. I feel like you know what I like and what I don't like, and then you have I would hope a decent idea still of how this book ends.
Yeah, the thing about Stormlight, and I feel like this is why a lot of
Oh
people like
God, I
the
hate that's
series,
not a good. That's not a good. Not a
is
good way to start
no,
that.
no, no, it's just there's, like, so many layers to it. Like, I feel like I think you're gonna like the story. I do, especially if a certain part hits. If it hits for you, I think you'll be like, "Hell yeah, I really like the book." But there's so many other layers to it. Like, there's all of this just the world building. Or, like, even if you don't like Kaladin's story, you really like Shallan's story, you know? So, like, there's just so much that you can like or dislike about the series that I think as a whole, you're gonna say, like, it was a good book. I really liked the Shallan stuff. I don't know. I think you're gonna really like Kaladin stuff. I really like the Kaladin
I
stuff.
don't like let the record show. I think I critique Kaladin stuff a little bit more. I don't dislike it. I like a lot of like how introspective his stuff is. And I think I can't remember if I talked about his last episode or I was hearing myself talk about it on an earlier episode. uh, How much space he gives to the his like inner thoughts in the earlier parts of this book is very I wasn't expecting that out of like what I thought was an action packed, fantasy book. It was very interesting. Like I just wasn't expecting that. I felt like he went places that most plot driven books don't go with Kaladin's character. And I think that's why I like Name of the Wind a lot too. You really dive into like his psyche.
And like
Um
you've said, like, it's an epic fantasy series, so we're gonna go places, like, this is just the beginning of the story. Like, it's been a fairly narrow story, like, Cal has been a slave. Shallan showed up, she trained, or she studied, like, not the world hasn't blown up just yet.
yeah, I think
Things
the
are
only
still
person
pretty
who
narrow.
has a understanding of maybe the bigger picture is Dalinar, and but then he's also going crazy at the same time.
Well, there's one facet of this series that we have not even touched on that I'm, like, not even equipped or, like, to even have those conversations. Um, you remember that, like, this series is part of, Sanderson's, like, whole universe. He calls
Ugh,
it
I would
the
never be.
Cosmere.
I just can't. Not that I would hate that. I
No,
just
but you have been reading a significant amount of things that affect all of that, and there's a whole story that is happening that you don't even see happening because you don't know things. And, like, whenever I watch people discuss that stuff or, like, people comment, like, "Oh, what do you think about this?" And I'm like, "Dude, I didn't like, you need to know the story to really see those things unfolding." But it's there. There's, like, a secret story that's happening that we haven't even really touched on at all. Um, so he does a really good job because I know you're not really big on that, like, big universe stuff, but the fact that, like, this secret story is happening and you're not even really noticing it, I think is pretty cool. Is like, there is a story there too.
yeah, that is interesting, and I like just makes me wonder like where is it because I feel like it's not the epigraphs. I don't think. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just
it's
started
cool.
reading the back of this book, and I have so many more thoughts, and we'll talk about them next time because it's late.
Yeah. Alright
But
then, well, for the next episode though, guys, we'll finish out part 3 with chapters 50 and 51, and then we'll read the 3 interludes,
journey
if
before
you call it one.
destination.
Yeah, and, remember, we have our Discord, the link should be posted. If you guys wanna join that, we talk more about the series, that's usually where people will post their questions, but feel free to put them in the comments here as well, for the next section, and yeah, we also discuss other stuff over there. So if you just want to join, and that's all I got.
Adios.